How's it going, everybody? My name is Adrian, also known as Doidle, and today it is actually my birthday. Or at least it should be by the time that this video is coming out. And since I'm turning 26, and because this is a relatively new channel, I thought this would be a really good opportunity for you all to get to know me a little bit better by me going through and just listing my top 26 games of all time. Now, full disclaimer, this idea was totally not mine. I am stealing this from my friend Hannah, who did it first on her channel last year. She did it for her 25th birthday, so if you want to go ahead and see her list, she's an amazing content creator, and the video is one of my favorites ever, so I'll go ahead and link that in the description down below. Alright, so this list is something that I've been working on for a while now. I actually did a PowerPoint on it not too long ago with my friends. We have PowerPoint nights every once in a while. I actually did my top 75 games of all time because it was so hard for me to cut it down into 25 at the time, and now I had to really cut down the list to fit into the 26 years that I have been on this earth. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, honestly, and it's changed so much since I've done my first draft that I don't know, it's such like a fluid list. Like, things are constantly moving. Just know that even though there's only 26 of them here, every single one of these games here just means so much to me, and I'm not necessarily going based off of like how good the game is. I'm kind of taking like a super biased approach to this and just going more on what the game means to me. Most of them are super good games anyways, like 99% of these are 10 out of 10 games. So with that out of the way, I would like to ask for your forgiveness ahead of time with this one. Number 26 on this list is Valorant. And I know what you're thinking. People have such split opinions on it. For the most part, you'll just hear people shit talking it, especially the people that play it pretty often, and I am no better. As much as I tried to put other games ahead of this on this list so I didn't have to talk about it in this video, I just couldn't. This is exactly where it landed. I couldn't push it out of the top 26, and it actually ended up landing at 26. So I don't know, I wasn't expecting it to be so important to me, honestly. I think I saw some TikToks or something on it, and I thought it looked pretty cool, so I wanted to give it a shot, and then I immediately regretted it because of how bad I was at the game. I was terrible. I could not get out of like whatever the first one is. I don't know if there was an iron at the time, but whatever like the first level was at that time that I started playing it. And then slowly yet surely, as time went on, I started getting better at that game. And it was just so satisfying for me to like slowly see that progression and for things to start clicking and making sense. And I really do like all the characters that they have in that game. Omen, always gonna be my favorite one. I am an Omen main through and through, and that spooky ghost boy just me and him just clicked. But there's also just like one other reason why I think I hold this game in like such high regard, and that's because it kind of helped me get through this really weird like social anxiety block that I had going on in my head for the longest time. I had like big anxiety overall, but when it came to speaking in voice chats, I would get very nervous, and I like couldn't bring myself to do it. And if you know Valorant, you know that that's a game that you really have to talk in. Eventually, I started to push through that, and I started talking a lot more, and it helped me gain a lot of confidence, like both in the game and outside of the game, as stupid as that sounds. Valorant was like a really big part of me kind of like coming out of my shell a little bit. So many of my really close friends are friends that I met because of Valorant. I actually reconnected with a lot of old friends like from high school because we started playing Valorant together. These are people that I thought I would never talk to again. Not that we ended on bad terms or anything, but we just kind of drifted apart, and then all of a sudden we were playing Val together, and now we hang out all the time and play lots of stuff, and it's just like, I don't know, Valorant can be like a super toxic place. I've seen some really bad stuff happen in those lobbies, but also I've seen some really good stuff happen. Because of all these things, it means so much to me. Plus, I do really like the gameplay loop. Number 25 is Batman Arkham. Honestly, this one's a weird one for me because I played one of these growing up. Actually two. I played two. I played Arkham Asylum with my brother, and I never beat it on my own. I got pretty far into it, and there was like one room that I just could not get past. Keep in mind, I was really little when this game came out, and I just never got past that point. But I saw the whole story play out a few times just because I would watch other people play it. It's my favorite Batman media of all time. Like, I think I can say that pretty definitively. I love these games so much. These games have like such a unique atmosphere to them. Just like running around at night as the Batman when all the goons are kind of just like, they're not even scared. I feel like the goons are like so weirdly confident that they can kick the shit out of Batman, and then you just go in and do your 50 hit combos on them. It's such a good time. I don't usually like stealth in games, but for some reason being Batman makes it so much cooler to be stealthy and like go ahead and use your grapple hook and go from perch to perch and all these super cool Batman villains. And yeah, it's just like ingrained in my memory at this point, and I will forever hear that little tone. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. My heart rate will go up. I didn't know much about Batman going into that game, and it was such spooky vibes. It was such spooky vibes for when I was a kid, but I loved it because I kind of love being scared, and so this was like perfect for child Adrian to like just go into, be a little bit spooked, and then just like go kick ass as Batman, you know? Number 24 is one that I am very excited to talk about. Mario Kart DS. The DS, one of my favorite consoles of all time. I really want to go through and make some videos specifically ranking my favorite consoles of all time, and Mario Kart DS is one of the best games that they ever put out on the DS, and I think it might have been my first Mario Kart game. It was definitely the first one that I played consistently. I might have played Double Dash before that. No Mario Kart game since then has come close to like replicating the feeling that I get when I play that game. I love Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's incredible. It's objectively like the most content-filled Mario Kart game, but the DS had some stuff that nothing else has had since then. It had those insane missions where like you can do little boss fights and like drift trials and all this stuff, and it was fucking cool. I still remember like pushing that bomb off the stage, and then they had the best balloon battle of any. They've tried to do it since then. They've tried to do other balloon battles since then, but none of them have been as good because it had like a little feature where you could blow into the mic, but you had to do it slowly. If you did it too hard, it won't work. You had to blow into the mic to re-blow up balloons, and you can get them back by doing that. And nothing else has had that ever since then. And I loved that shit. I loved playing Balloon Battle on the giant floating DS in space. I loved going through and doing like those little trials and stuff like that. And then it was just like such a good stage selection. There's some courses that I just haven't seen since that game, and I miss them so much. I love that Luigi's Mansion so much. I know they have another one, but it's not the same. And then there's like this really specific version of Bowser's Castle that I really liked. And not to mention, the DS had something called Download Play, which lets you play with people around you, even if they didn't have the game. And so for Mario Kart, it was like if you didn't have the game, you were playing as Shy Guy, and so it would be like one person was like Yoshi and everybody else was Shy Guy, and me and my family would do that all the time, and we would just play against each other, and it was perfect. It's like one of my earliest super fun gaming memories. Number 23, Pokemon Diamond. So I need you to listen to this really quick. Tell me that does not make you feel something. Pokemon Diamond is like such a nostalgic game to me. It's the only Pokemon game that I have gone through and actually played the whole thing. I never beat it. I could not get past the Elite Four in that game as a kid, and it haunts me to this day. I need to go back and finish that game. Those starters, I would always choose, I think his name was Chimchar, the fire monkey, even though I love Piplup and Turtwig, and they were just all so great. And so many little things in this game, the music, the little like ghost Pokemon, the little balloon guys, and then, you know what, like honestly, one of my favorite parts of this game was that little weird underground thing that you can go do where you can like go and mine. I don't know if you're mining or if you were, I don't know which we were doing down there, but we were like getting rubies and stuff like that. And then you can go through and make like a little, like a man cave down there. You can get like a couch and a or I think you could get a Wii and stuff like that. It was just like such a weird little side game mode, but me and my cousin loved it so much, and we would just play the shit out of it. And it was just like such a good time. And now whenever I hear the music, it's just like, it hits. I miss these 2D Pokemon games. I did try and get into like the newer 3D games, and they're not bad. I do really like them, but it doesn't hit the same way as the 2D ones did, you know. I want to go back to those times. Number 22, I was a little bit conflicted to put this one in the list, but I ended up doing it because I can't deny that it's a really, really good game, and that is Tears of the Kingdom. When the game dropped, I had a really good time, but there were so many things that just weren't the same as they were in Breath of the Wild. Or the opposite problem was that they were exactly the same as they were in Breath of the Wild. One of my favorite parts about Breath of the Wild was that sense of like discovery and figuring things out and like exploring and finding all this new shit. And that just wasn't as prevalent in Tears of the Kingdom because they reused the same map. They did add a lot. They added the Sky Islands, which were honestly a little bit lackluster, but okay, I'm gonna stop talking bad about this game. I want to focus on the good because it did make my top, it made to 22. I love the new ability so much. Ultra Hand is probably one of the greatest video game abilities that I've ever used. Being able to like make anything and test it out and see if it works by putting together like these random parts and components. That was where the discovery was for me, you know, and that's where like that sense of like, oh my god, this is fucking cool came from for me. I also did really like the story. You can never go wrong with having a story with Zelda, Ganon, and Link, and the way it ended made me very happy. I'm not gonna spoil it here or anything like that, but I want them so bad to keep the Hero of the Wild going, and I know they're not. I know they're gonna move on. I just love them so much. I love this version of Link and Zelda so much, and I'll probably end up making a video on this at some point, but Tears of the Kingdom, great game, number 22 on my list. Number 21, back to something I'm like super excited to talk about. Star Wars Episode 3, but specifically the DS version. If you've played this game, you probably know exactly what I mean when I say that this is legit one of the best DS games ever made, especially for a Star Wars fan. This game followed the story of the movie so well. I feel like it's part of the reason why I remember that movie so well is because I would just play through this game over and over again. It was a 2D side scroller where you would play as, you can either choose to do Anakin or Obi-Wan story, and they both had different missions, they both had different abilities, and it was just so cool. It looked visually super cool. It followed Episode 3, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it didn't overstay its welcome. It is not a very long game, and that's why I think I loved playing through it over and over again, was because it didn't take me very long to go through and do it all. But you can go back and like get more stars in the missions and little things that made it very replayable. And they had like this weird little like space battle mode where you flew in these little ships, and it was the only 3D thing in the game, and it was honestly pretty fun, even though I was just flying and like fighting against one CPU because I didn't have anybody else who had the game around me. It is very near and dear to me, and I really want to replay it. Number 20. So this one snuck up on me. This one's more recent. So a couple of years ago now, it was just starting to be fall, and I was really looking to play a game that gave me like super big fall vibes, and I found this one. It's a game called Death's Door. Pretty popular now, I think. I think a lot of people know about this. You probably heard about it before, but I love this game. So you play as this little crow, and you basically go around collecting souls because something went wrong, and it's just like, it has such an addicting gameplay loop. The combat in this game is some of my favorite in like any game like this. They give you a good variety of weapons. The enemy types are like all pretty diverse, especially in the environments that you're in. And speaking of environments, this game has some of my favorite environments and regions of all time. The pot place, oh my god, when I think of like super good fall vibes, I immediately think of that place, and nothing disappoints. I just really liked everything that they threw at you in that game. Again, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like very good and concise, and I really appreciate that because now I can go back and replay it a bunch of times without feeling like I'm spending too much time on one game, you know? Number 19. So the positioning of this game on my list might ruffle some feathers, but number 19 for me is Modern Warfare 2. When I think of the golden age of gaming, Modern Warfare 2 and Halo 3 are the two games that come into mind for me. Modern Warfare 2 is the first time that I can distinctly remember like going home, getting on and going on Xbox Live and playing with my friends. Like, I don't really remember doing that for anything before that point. And so it was just like, it was the start of something incredible. It was the start of like the online gaming era. It really like kind of defined the Call of Duty formula moving forward. Me and my brother and my cousins, we would always play this one split screen, just like 4 players just kicking the shit out of each other. They would kind of be kicking the shit out of me, I'm not gonna lie. I was not very good at games back then, but I've gotten much better since then because I took my beatings. They did not have mercy on me, and because of that, I feel like I have gotten much better at games. It was the start of like video game content creation. Like you've probably seen like the crazy clips and the 360 no scopes and the throwing knives from across the maps and stuff like that. Mom, get the camera. It's super iconic. The maps were incredible. Incredible story, and just overall 10 out of 10 game. Number 18 is another one that I haven't played until super recently, and that is Halo Combat Evolved. All I have to say about this one really is that after actually going through and playing the whole thing, I get it. I get why people hold this game in such high regard. I get why this like defined the FPS genre from that point moving forward. There was nothing like this at the time, and even playing it now in 2025, it is still one of the most solid games I have ever played. I love it so much, and I did talk about it more in my last video, so if you want to see more thoughts, it's in there. Yeah, I can't believe I haven't played it earlier, you know. Number 17 is Spider-Man PS4. I already talked about Batman Arkham, and in my mind, Spider-Man took the Batman Arkham formula and just absolutely perfected it. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time, and just being able to like go in, kick the shit out of some people, really beat them up, and do all these insane web abilities. Like they do a really good job of giving you really versatile Spider-Man abilities in that game. It's just so cool. Also, they really nailed the web swinging in that game, and ever since then, every game that they put out, they've just gotten better and better. I just started playing through Spider-Man 2. Oh, it's so fucking good. Just the way that they randomly start to do flips. I'm getting too ahead. We're talking about the first one here. I love the story in this game so much. It was such a good Spider-Man story, but also such a good like Peter story. Like they really nailed both of his personalities in there, and they had such a good cast of villains. My favorite part about Spider-Man is his interaction with the villains, and they had such good ones. I know they didn't have Green Goblin in the first one, but I think that's where it's going. I hope that's where it's going, because Green Goblin is absolutely my favorite Spider-Man villain, because he's probably the first one I ever saw in the Tobey Maguire movies, and they absolutely nailed this game. Number 16. Oh my god, it hurt me so much putting this one at number 16. I wanted to put it so much higher. Killer Instinct. This is my favorite traditional fighting game of all time. It's the first one that I ever got super into, and that's the thing with fighting games. No matter who you are, the first fighting game that you got super into will inevitably be your favorite one, and for me that was Killer Instinct. Basically, for me, I think the biggest reason why this game means so much to me is that, one, it introduced me to one of my favorite content creators, Maximilian dude. He is an incredible fighting game creator. He does a lot more than that. Like I know he's going crazy on Monster Hunter right now, and also me and my cousin spent a lot of time playing this game together, and he is much better at fighting games than me. And so yeah, he saw that I was interested in it, and he took it upon himself to teach me in the same way that they taught me how to play Modern Warfare 2, but much harsher this time around, by kicking the shit out of me over and over again. He was giving me tips in between the beatings, but oh my god, dude, it would be insane. He would go on like 20-30 game winning streaks, and then I would get one, and I would it's like that meme with the guy with the champagne on the podium. I would get so excited because he was just so much better than me, and then he would lock in again and just go on like another 20-30 game winning streak, and it's got so much personality to it. It's so loud and in your face, and all these characters are like archetypes, but like they're archetypes that work so much better than what the thing that they're based on. Like there's the skeleton, there's a cyborg, there's a ninja, there's a werewolf guy, and it's just so good, and each of them has such a good moveset. Each of them has such a good stage. They have such good music, and that, with the fact that I was actually learning how to play fighting games through all of these characters, it's just like, wow, it hits home for me, and I love that game. Number 15, we're making some progress now. Sorry, I'm looking down at my notebook here. Number 15, we got Assassin's Creed 2. So this is another one that hurt me to put down this low, even though top 15 of all time is pretty high. But yeah, Assassin's Creed 2, it rewired my brain. Just a quick recap in case you don't know, I found Assassin's Creed 2 at GameStop. It was back when they had those little bins where you can find like all the used games and stuff like that. And I must have gotten it for around $5 or something. It's one of the best purchases I've ever made in my life. It came around the same time as I was learning about the Renaissance and all this stuff. And so just like being able to like actually step into it, run across these rooftops, live out like this crazy assassins versus Templar story was just such a good time. I'm saying like pretty much the same stuff as I did in my last video about this one, so I don't want to talk about this one for too long, but just know Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed as a series just are very important to me. Number 14, you guys are gonna be mad that this is at 14, but Wii Sports. Part of the reason why it means so much to me is because of the people that I was playing it with. Same cousin's house, I would go over there, play with everybody. We would all get in on the Wii Sports. We would take turns playing baseball and boxing and tennis and literally everything. There was not a single game on there that I didn't like. We all got really good at the golf. We got good at everything. It has such a good... Oh, wait, before I get into that, we got so fucking good at the bowling that we got within one strike of having a perfect game. I have never had a perfect game before, but I got one strike. I was one strike away from having a perfect game. We will get very competitive about Wii Sports, which is hilarious. And I remember getting out of the pool at my aunt's house and just like running inside and smelling like chlorine and eating like a ham sandwich and playing Wii Sports, and it was just perfect. It was perfect vibes. It was incredible, and those games are still great. I have learned that some people like Wii Sports Resort more than Wii Sports, and I just don't. It's not as iconic as Wii Sports is for me, and there's some good stuff in there, but honestly I was not into most of the games that they had in Wii Sports Resort. Wii Sports is just, in my mind, much better. Number 13. So another recent one, and I swear, I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking that, oh my god, this guy has like so much recency bias. You're not entirely wrong, but also this is a really good game, Jedi Survivor. So I played this one last January, so it has been over a year since I played this, so I have let it sit in for a bit before actually ranking it. This game is one of the best Star Wars games of all time. I can't say it's the best because there's one, maybe more than one more ahead of this on this list. There's more than one more ahead of this on this list. But I love Cal. Cal's story is like super good. I love it so much, and without spoiling anything, it takes a turn that I was not expecting it to. I was so there for it. I was so happy to be on that ride. It takes everything that Jedi Fallen Order does and it makes it so much better. The introduction of stances is one of the best introductions to any game ever. I love it so much. They give him such good force abilities, and it's just like the combat. The fact that anything can kill you at any time if you're not careful, because you know I put that shit on the hardest difficulty. Perfect. It was so good. Good environments, really good lightsaber fighting. It felt like beefy and weighty and exactly how I would think it would feel like to be a Jedi. And it was longer than I was expecting it to be, which I liked. They added so much more to all the planets. Like, they really expanded on the open world mechanics in that game, and I really want to replay it, honestly. I want to do the New Game Plus and have that crazy strobe lightsaber and stuff like that. So number 12 on my list is Smash Ultimate. This game, it took over my life for like 3 years. For 3 years, this was pretty much all I played was Smash Ultimate. So I had played other Smash games before. I played Brawl, I played the one that was on the DS, and I played the Wii U one like a couple of times, but I never really got into it. I didn't really know how to play it. When Smash Ultimate came out, I got it pretty much right away, and I took it to work. I worked in IT, and my friends that I was playing against kicked the absolute crap out of me. And then we went on winter break, and so you know what I did? I spent that entire winter break training and watching videos, learning all the terminology, learning how to play that game, and I came back and I was one of the best ones in the office. My friend was like, you went into the fucking hyperbolic time chamber for this game, dude. You got so much better, it's ridiculous. And I did. Unfortunately, I think I got a little bit too into that game. Eventually it was making me more angry than happy, and so I had to put it down. But when you're just sitting there playing with friends and staying away from online, because online is awful in that game, it is one of the best experiences ever, especially if you're playing with somebody around your same skill level, because it's just like such close battles. I am a Captain Falcon main through and through, and I represented him so well in these fights. It was such a good time. Although one of my main enemies, my friend who was like almost exactly the same skill level as me, played Piranha Plant. It It's such a stupid matchup, but I want to play more of that game so bad, but nobody around me plays, and I don't know. I refuse to play that game online though, so I'm just gonna wait until a new challenger approaches. Number 11, Star Wars Force Unleashed. This game, dude. I was a Star Wars fan before, but this game like fucking solidified me as a Star Wars fan. Playing as Starkiller was one of the most empowering experiences as a gamer, especially as a kid. He is ridiculous, dude. Pulling down the Star Destroyer, just like going through beating the crap out of Darth Vader and the Emperor and all these other Jedis like Luke Skywalker. I'm gonna replay it and I'm gonna make a video on it so that way I can better verbalize what this game means to me, because I can't put it lower than this and I can't explain why right now, but I love this game so much. Number 10, we are hitting top 10 finally. Number 10, Guitar Hero 3. If you're around my age and you played video games in any capacity, there's a super high chance that you played Guitar Hero growing up. This game was everywhere. There was not a single person I knew at the time who played games that wasn't playing Guitar Hero 3. That game shaped my music taste in ways that I can't even explain. I didn't listen to music before Guitar Hero on my own. I would listen to like my parents' music, which is also a big part of my music taste now, but Guitar Hero 3 was like some of the first shit that really shaped me. That game was so good. It was just like so cool actually having the guitars. We got them Christmas morning. Yeah, right away like put them on. Me and my brother were both playing and it was just such a good time. This was one of those games that like really brought my family together. Me and my cousins and my uncle, we would all play it. We played a lot of it during New Year's. For years, New Year's, we would just be playing Guitar Hero, playing the same songs over and over again, which I'm sure all the adults loved. Actually, one of those New Year's while we were playing Guitar Hero was where I came up with my username. Really quick, if you don't know that story, on New Year's when me and my cousin were waiting for our turn to play Guitar Hero, we were throwing around a medicine ball. It was heavy, and so we were throwing it, and my cousin, every time he would throw it, he would be like, Doidle, Doidle, and I don't know why he was saying that. A couple days later, we were making our Xbox Live accounts, and I didn't know what to name mine, and so I remembered my cousin saying that, and so I just named mine Mr. Doidle, and that's so ever since then, that's just been the name that I've used, and I wanted to change it for a bit, but now I feel like it stuck with me for so long. I don't know, that name just means a lot to me now, and it all started from Guitar Hero. Number 9, oh, this game is so fucking good. Battlefront 2. Not that one. I'm talking about the original Battlefront 2, the one that came out back in the day on the... Was that on the original Xbox? It was on a lot of platforms. That had to be one of my most played games of all time growing up. Just going through, doing the we would do the story mode a lot, like the Galactic Conquest, I think it was called, which was awesome. And then we would just do instant action and just like put every single planet on the list and just like run through every planet, just playing through like that weird domination game mode that I forget what it's called. But it is still one of my favorite game modes of all time. Just like going through, exploring all these insane Star Wars planets, and they had so many of them. It was insane how much was packed into this little game. It's a huge reason why I remember the movie so well, especially the prequels. I wasn't like watching them on repeat growing up, but I played these games so much that it's just like, for me, the games are just as important as the movies are for Star Wars. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So going through doing Obi-Wan versus Anakin on Mustafar, it was probably the thing that we did the most in that game. And it was so good. And it's still so good. We played it recently and it holds up so well. And I like it so much more than the EA one, even though I do really like that game. The original one is just so good. It's so much better. Number 8. So I feel like I'm gonna get so much heat for this one, but number 8 for me is Halo 5. I need to get this out of the way first. Halo 5 has the absolute worst Halo story of all time, in my opinion. I lost count of how many times they made you fight the fucking Warden in that game, and I did not want to fight him the first time. He is not a fun villain to fight. But the multiplayer for Halo 5, ooh, dude, that's where it was at. I love the multiplayer for that game. I remember I got in the beta for that game before it actually dropped, and I was playing it since then, and I still sucked. I think Halo 5 is my most played game of all time, just because it was out for so long before Infinite dropped, and I was playing it like pretty consistently that whole time. I played it all throughout high school, and that's the best I've ever been at any game. I got pretty good at Halo 5. I was pretty constantly in Diamond, but I hit Onyx more than a few times, and I hit Champ in free-for-all 1 when the game like first dropped, and I think I can't really claim that because they reset the ranking system like right after that, and I think it was because it was broken, so I don't know if that counts or not, but I'm gonna say it counts because fucking I hit it. As much as it pains me that the secondary was like the best weapon in the game and you can snipe people with a fucking pistol from across the map, it was very satisfying to use, and it had the best video game sound effect of all time in my opinion, which was that little headshot pop. It was such a good game. It was such a good game. Some of my earliest content is on that game, and it just means so much to me. I even put my little emblem, the little strawberry, as my Discord icon because of how much it means to me. I'm gonna get that as a tattoo. If this video hits a number 7 is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. Not Budokai Tenkaichi 3, even though that is also a very good game. I specifically liked Budokai 3. I don't know what it was about it. Like, I like the arena fighters of like the Tenkaichi games, but for some reason I was so much more interested in like it was 3D, like it was a 3D game, but also it was mostly fought in like a 2D linear way, even though you can like sidestep and stuff. But this game just had everything, dude. It had every single Dragon Ball character you could think of at the time. It had every single transformation, including Super Saiyan 4, which is it was so cool. The same way as Battlefront 2 like solidified Star Wars in my mind, that game like really solidified Dragon Ball in my mind. I would use Gohan a lot, and I would use Cell a lot, and of course we would go Super Saiyan 4 all the time, just doing like the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta stuff, and man, I love Dragon Ball, and that is my favorite Dragon Ball game ever, dude. There's no contest. Number 6, wouldn't you know it, it's another Halo game. Number 6 is Halo Reach. I pre-ordered this game. I think Halo Reach might have been the first game that I ever pre-ordered, and oh my god, it has the best Halo story by far. I played through that so many times. I still play through it. We're gonna do a lasso run at some point, and I'm very excited for that. We were trying to do plasma pistols only, and that went about as good as you could expect it to. And it's just like, it's such a good story. It's so good that Star Wars stole it. And it had such a solid multiplayer too. A lot of people hated the multiplayer in Reach. I don't get that. I understand that it was different. It's very different from all the other Halo multiplayers, but it's still very good. I really like the DMR. I like that they added the abilities and stuff like that, even though everybody just used sprint, and it had such good maps. I love the maps in that game so much, and the art style for it is just like it's so gritty and good and almost like a comic book in a way. I don't know how to explain it, but it's got such style to it, you know, and like a gritty style, and that makes sense considering what happens in the story. No spoilers, but also, I remember so clearly playing that game with my friends, and we would just jump into Forge World, and we were supposed to be building stuff, but we would always kill each other. And I remember, I'm not sure if anybody else did this, but there was a glitch that we called the Iron Man glitch that you could do by like canceling the armor lock by going into the Forge Ball. And when you would come back, you were invincible. Like it just looked like you had the armor lock and you could walk around with it. And so you were invincible. And so people would shoot you. We would have like fucking 3 of the pelicans with all the turrets like shooting this person. He just wouldn't die. And the only way to kill him, well, there's 2 ways to kill him. 1, you hit him in the back, give him the good old back smack. 2 was you could kill him with one of the death balls. And we did such stupid shit with that. It was so good, and so much content, not that I made, but that I watched back in the day, came from Halo Reach, and it stuck with me ever since. Number 5, this is the last Call of Duty game on this list, and you probably already know what I'm about to say. Black Ops 2. I think a lot of people share this opinion that Black Ops 2 is the best Call of Duty game ever made. I love this game so much. I played so much of this game. It's really the best that the COD formula has ever been for me, in my opinion. It had the best maps. I still don't think there's ever been a better map pool. It had the best weapons. I loved the MP7, I think it was. MP7, PDW, those were like my 2 go-tos. And the AN94, ooh, had such a satisfying... It was so good. It had such a good weight and like sound effects to it. And not to mention the C4 sandwiches. Oh my god, I fucking love that game so much. It's the first game that I ever bought DLC for. I bought DLC for new maps and specifically for new zombies maps. And speaking of zombies, this game had my favorite zombies of all time. The Alcatraz map, I forget what it's called, Mob of the Dead I think, but the Alcatraz map. Oh my god, dude, that was so fucking cool. I love Alcatraz so much as a kid, and I just like putting zombies map on there was insane. And they changed the whole vibe of it for that map too. Like they made the zombies eyes red. The Easter eggs for that game were for that map were so fucking good. Like having to build the plane and escape and do all that shit was so good. I don't even think I got any of the other DLCs after that, but that one just stood out to me so much. I love that shit. And I need them to either remaster it or to put the weapons and maps from that game into these newer games, into Black Ops 6. Because I can't not play those again, and I can't play the old games because it's dangerous or something to play those right now, which fucking sucks, but it was so good, and it hasn't been the same since then. Number 4, oh my god, this one is another one where it's like, I literally want to rank this game number 1, but I can't because of how much these other games on the list mean to me. But number 4, for me, Minecraft. Minecraft means everything to me. It's always been there, you know. It's definitely the first like computer game that I ever played. I would take my mom's laptop and she let me download Minecraft onto it, and I distinctly remember going in and like making my first world, and I talked about this before, but it got struck by lightning and blown up by a creeper, and it did not go very well, but it was so fun. Just like being able to like go in, find stone, make a stone sword for the first time. And it was just like, it felt like there was limitless possibilities in it because we didn't know what was going on in that game. You know, we didn't know what was possible in that game yet. I didn't even know that diamonds were a thing for the longest time. In the early days, we would jump into the servers and play like Minecraft Hunger Games and stuff like that. And even though it ran so bad on my mom's laptop, it was so much fun using the fucking, I didn't have a mouse, so I would use the trackpad and try to like aim with that. So it was really bad, but it was still super fun. And then once it came out on the Xbox 360, it just fucking exploded. Like at that point, everybody was getting into Minecraft, and it was so easy at that point to like jump into a world and play with friends that it was just like, everybody was playing it. Everybody was going in, making houses, breaking treaties, committing war crimes, and just like making some of the most beautiful shit that you've ever seen. And I miss it. I miss it so much. I know I can play it now, but it's like it's not entirely the same as it was before. And I just miss the early days, you know? Again, that game just means everything to me. Alright, we have officially made it to top 3. We are almost there. This is just like where it's like this list is like constantly shuffling, but I think I've solidified it. I think I finally figured out what my top 3 are, like solidly. Number 3, Halo 3. For the longest time, I would have said that Halo 3 was my favorite game. It's the first game that me and my brother ever played on the Xbox 360. We got that in Guitar Hero 3 when we got our Xbox 360, and it's just like, it kicked everything off for me. Halo 3 is the reason why I fell in love with video games. I had played video games before that. Like I said, I played Battlefront 2, we played all that PS2 stuff. But once Halo 3 dropped, it was just like, I could not picture my life without video games from that point moving forward. And I still can't. And it's because of that game. Halo 3 changed things for me. It stuck with me ever since then, and I still think the Halo 3 gameplay holds up so well, and it's still my favorite gameplay loop out of any of the Halo games, and I think that's just because we played it so much. It stuck with me because we never put that game down. Even as more Halo games would come out, we would always go back to Halo 3. That was the one we were constantly playing. Split screen, doing the story mode, going through and doing whatever you could think of in that game, we were doing it. It was like just the start of like me really launching my gaming journey. It's still there, like it's still there, it still holds up, and it's still top 3 favorite games of all time for me. Number 2, it was such a close one between this and number 1, but for me, my number 2 favorite game of all time is Red Dead Redemption 2. I want Arthur to be my dad. I love Arthur Morgan so much. I want to name my first child after him. He is my favorite video game protagonist of all time, and there's no doubt about that. The journey that he goes on in that game is so beautiful, and I have so much like empathy for him because the way that I played him, he was a very nice man. Going through and exploring that world that Rockstar created is just nothing has ever been more alive to me than that game. I go in there and it is the most realized open world game that I have ever played, and every time I jump into it, even now, I find new stuff and it's insane. I have not even explored like 50% of that shit. I swear there is so much packed into it. And Arthur reacts to the world exactly how I would. Like, he goes through and he has such like crazy interactions with everything, and he's like such a funny person. I love him so much. It is, in my opinion, the best video game story of all time, period. Better than Halo Reach, better than any other thing that I will ever put on this list. It's just that good. I feel like everybody should experience that game because I feel like that is the perfect example of like why video games are an art form. And I could talk about that all day, so I'm just gonna move on to number one, but just know Red Dead Redemption 2 peak. It is one of the greatest. It's so good. And finally, we have reached the point where it is time for me to announce my number one. A lot of you probably already know what this is, but for me, my favorite game of all time is Breath of the Wild. I am gonna make a whole video talking about what Breath of the Wild means to me, why it is my favorite game of all time. I feel like this video is long enough, so for right now, all I will say is that I have never felt like this sense of like exploration and curiosity and like wanting to go in and learn more. This game is so good at like leading you on and being like, oh, you should check around this corner and just like explore this whole incredibly pretty world. Hyrule is like, if I could go to any fictional location ever, it would be Breath of the Wild Hyrule. Red Dead Redemption is the most like lively open world that I've ever played in, but my favorite open world of all time is Breath of the Wild. And I just need them to make more. I know Tears of the Kingdom is out, but I want them to make a third one because I'm not ready to say goodbye to the Hero of the Wild or this version of Zelda or any of the other characters in those games because they're all so good and I just need more of it. Yeah, I hope I didn't put too many of you all off with this list. All these games are really, really great and important to me, and I am curious to know what your favorite games are. Let me know down in the comments. Be sure to check out those links, and I have so much more stuff in the works. It's crazy. I have such a big list of videos that I want to make. I've talked about a few of them in this video, but I'm so excited to be making videos right now. The last video went crazy. It got like over 500 views, and that surprised me so much because it was like stuck at around 100 and then it just jumped up and I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. So yeah, if you are new here, welcome. I appreciate you for being here. And yeah, I will not disappoint you. I am working on a lot more stuff and I'm very excited about it.